Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to our episode number 24 of our weekly series, What's Your Spark? Today I'm here with Kirsten Franklin from New York City, USA. Welcome to the show, and it's wonderful to have you on my show, Kirsten.
Thank you so much, Regina. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about our spark.
Yes, I always love that conversation. Thank you again for making the time. So, I'm tuning in today from Miami Beach, Florida, and I'm very excited to introduce Kirsten Franklin to you today so you can learn about her impact driven spark, her magical spark. Please, everyone watching, hit that like button and share your comments and questions in the comments section. I'm expecting a lot of great questions for this interview. And if you are catching us live, that's great. But if not, you can still ask or comment. And Kirsten and I will check in on your questions and comments later for sure, either today or tomorrow. So, this series is for anyone who loves to be inspired by other women who are contributing their insights and creativity, their wisdom, their knowledge, their stories. And as we open our minds to fresh perspectives and new ideas, we also open up new possibilities for ourselves. The possibilities that were not even within our spectrum before. Yes, these interviews with women around the world provide an opportunity to grow from and with each other and to be inspired to uncover the depths of our own spark because we all love to live passionate, purpose driven, and impactful lives, right? We're all meant to sparkle with our brilliance, whatever our role is. And today I have the pleasure to introduce to you Kirsten Franklin. Kirsten is the co founder, acting COO, and head of investor relations at Celebrity. Kirsten, are you ready to sparkle today for our audience?
Absolutely. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. I think you're one of those who are always ready, Kirsten.
Kind of.
Right? Yeah, and it was so lovely also to be your guest on your podcast. So thank you again for that. I cannot wait for that to air. And today we're here. Okay, so my first question, as always, Kirsten, is what's your unique spark?
Yeah, so I love this question. I think for me, it is elevating the consciousness of humans on the planet. And I know that sounds super crazy. It's like, what the heck does that mean? But I think throughout, the decades of life I've had on this planet, my basic curiosities into human psychology and behavior have really resulted in, an understanding. And that for me is that, we as humans on the planet really have failed to live this life of self-love, self-respect, trusting ourselves. And once we do that, I get to witness the burgeoning of success in so many different ways in individuals that I work with. So I know that, like, I know, like, according to the world to Kirsten, is, one of the key things is just self-love. And we don't tend to have it for whatever reason as we matriculate through the ages as a human on this planet, and that loss creates a lot of issues that we don't realize is really tied to that lack of self-respect, self-love, and so elevating the consciousness of individuals has really been what I've been purpose driven to do.
Well, I love this because it actually also contributes to the elevation of consciousness of all of humanity. So it's definitely something that I'm all for, and I totally get what you're saying, and I think our audience does as well. So it does not sound crazy to me at all. It sounds really as something that is key for humanity, especially in our present times, more than ever, because now we have the chance to actually, I think, take a quantum leap in
Yeah.
consciousness. The time has come for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's totally happening. And I think COVID was a huge catalyst to that. A lot of introspection, a lot of self understanding, self help, for lack of a better term, really understanding the dynamics of relationship. and the interrelatedness of everything we do, from your coffee to COVID, right? So, I think we were really able to lose the idea of, us being Americans here, Canadians being there, Germans being there. It's like the oneness, I think, has really materialized, which I think was important for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's also been a period of time of the so-called Great Awakening in so many different senses. People are now, many people on this planet, millions and billions, are more aware of what's really going on the planet, and on our Earth, and really opening their eyes and doing their research. So I think that's part of it as well. So we need to be aware of, that the physical reality as well as the spiritual essence that we all have inside of us, right? And how that all fits together.
Yeah, and look at what Kevin's saying, right? I absolutely believe that people can feel the shift of what's going on right now. So I think that's so true.
Right, exactly. And that oneness, and how we can all come together and really stand up also for others as well. Okay, so how did you find your spark, Kirsten?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how purpose driven I was until probably about 10 years ago. But all of those little side interests, all of those things I studied on my own, right? So really starting in high school, being like this introverted extrovert, out there cheerleading, doing sports, doing all this stuff, but really not really wanting to be out there, like in some ways. I really started to look into the psychology of people. Why do people do things? Why do they think this way? Why does this happen? Why are there drug addicts? Why are there alcoholics, right? All of this stuff. And then as I continued on in life and went to law school and was litigating, it was important for me to understand, am I understanding this person the way they're seeing things, to understand things in depositions and trials, right? Things of that nature. And ultimately, I actually had become homeless with my daughter, right? When I first had her, the market crashed. I owned a title company. I was being sued. Everything was chaotic. And that, thank God I had done all of the Tony Robbins stuff and all the stuff that, back then in the 80s, 90s, right? 2000s, nobody was really doing that. And here's this kid like doing all this craziness. I don't even know why, but it all ended up, coming to fruition, because when I went through that dark period and came out of that, I was in a position to speak to very high level CEOs, law partners in my recruiting company. And ultimately, I realized that we had better conversations, and within our conversations, and just based on my own experiences and what I had done, I ended up helping them, right? Helping them fix their marriages, their kids, their business. And I learned that period that I love building businesses. So I really kind of mixed those two. And really ever since then, I've been able to do exactly what I love to do and help a lot of people. So,
well, that's really amazing. And talk about chaos, that definitely unites us. I've gone through a few of those. And again, I hadn't done Tony Robbins or this type exactly of work before, although I had read important information as well, but I had studied a lot of holistic healing, and that's what helped me at the time to really move out of this victim mindset that I fell into at first, into a self-empowering mindset. And I think that was my most important first step. It also didn't happen from one day to the next. So
yeah, I think the awareness of that victim mindset is huge, because that was very much where I was when I was homeless, right? It was like, this just happened to me. I had no control, sort of angry at all the situations, not really understanding how I contributed and created them, right? So yeah, that's a big shift to have when you do that. So good for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I can only imagine, because, if you are in that situation yourself, but then if you have children, it's of course even much harder. So did you ever write a book about this story?
I didn't write a book about this story. I definitely have books that I've published, like self-published on Amazon for my clients. Nothing I've marketed is really just for those who work with me. They understand that I go through a very specific process of mindset, vibration, and processes. I call it the MVP method. And so for them, if they need something to reference back, if they haven't, looked at their recordings or something, there's books out there for them. So
Okay, great. Yeah, that's awesome. So I also have one book on Amazon, which was actually my second book, but the first one I thought was a little bit outdated by now, so I removed that. But the that book is also a how-to book and more like a techniques and tools book. But I'm asking you this because I'm actually planning to write a book hopefully soon where I am sharing, some of those stories like yours and how to then turn it into an opportunity. And I think that's exactly what you did, as hard as it might have seemed while you were in the midst of it, you turned it into a very powerful opportunity. And of course, there's always big learning, but it's not only that personal learning that we got out of it, but this, we turn it into something to help others. And I think that's really, really amazing.
I had the best advice from someone. I don't know. It was just a statement. He may or may not even remember it. His name is Dennis Kanan. He's a very famous white collar criminal defense attorney in Miami, where you are now. And he was telling me that it's kind of like a hurricane. And this sticks with me because it's true for startups too. I work with startups. I do a lot of work with them. And in the sense of, it kind of seems like this crazy chaotic thing at the beginning, right? If you think about a hurricane, and then you're in the eye of the storm, where you're thinking, oh, it's done, it's over. Or you're thinking as you're starting up your startup, you're like, oh, we finally hit this plateau, we've made some kind of success, da da da. And then all of a sudden the other side of the hurricane hits you. Right? It's always kind of like a storm that you're walking through. And that always stuck with me because that was true for what I went through, in all the stuff that happened in 2008, 2009. Me giving birth to my first and only child, at the same time becoming homeless and thinking, okay, well, I finally did this, I finally did that, right? And just realizing it's never ending. So it's not about just getting through that moment. It's about learning how to become responsive, learning how to have that self-control, learning to let it in so you can let it go. Because most people just try and stuff it down and push it away versus really just being okay with it, right? If your kid's having a temper tantrum, be okay with it. Don't be frustrated that it's this or that, or you did this or that. When you're having a moment, it's fine. When you failed again at the 800th time for your New Year's Eve resolution to work out at 6 a.m., dude, get over it. It's fine. Move on. What are you planning on changing to make that happen? Right? That's what you need to be thinking about, not punishing yourself, not worrying about it because something else is coming along. It's all good,
Yeah, absolutely. So it's also you said the word, right, responding rather than just reacting impulsively, and really taking a step back and do that in a way that it is self-empowering and not self-debilitating, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I love that. So how are you making an impact through your spark? I know you mentioned a little bit about it before, but how does it exactly find its expression at Celebrity? So
Well, at Salubrity is awesome. So what Salubrity is, and nobody knows what this word is, it sort of means health and life giving, right?
Yeah.
And it's a brick and mortar that we're building that is sort of like a WeWork for the health and wellness professionals, but it's really building community and being holistic, right? So besides massage therapists, yogis, spin instructors, all of this stuff, we're building community. We have a lot of other ancillary services besides the golf swing VR room. And our goal is to actually help the independent fitness and wellness instructors who typically fail or have multiple jobs because they're not business minded. When you're trying to build a business that's a brick and mortar and you have to have a yoga studio, well, you understand that you could fill 10 classes a week. What about the rest of the time? What about building that out? What's your business structure, your marketing, all of the stuff that's needed to build a small business, right, successfully? And we're helping them do that. So, they get to come into our facility. They can live stream, record video on demand, teach live. They could do it all at the same time. They could do it individually and separately. They could do whatever they need. And they have ancillary platforms for them to learn how to build that business. So we're kind of helping the small business owner that is typically not successful on their own while also helping the health of the community. So it's a really exciting thing. And of course, sustainability, right? Right now we're doing it on a rental basis because we're in year one. But ultimately, when we buy our own facilities, we'll be thinking about how are we making that cement, right? Are we carbon neutral? How are we? What's the flooring going in there? We're already looking at our spin rooms and making sure that we are capturing that energy and putting that back on, the grid, and making sure, doing all those little things, because I think it's massively important. But one step at a time, right? Right now we have a tiny little box in Pennington that we're making a success to build that story so that we can go out and get the real funding necessary to pop up everywhere globally.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it reminds me also of my brother. One of my brothers built his house from scratch, and he used only natural materials. He was the only one in the family of my other 4 siblings and me who had allergies in the past. Now he actually has been able to get rid of them through holistic methods as well. So my entire family is very much into the holistic healing methods. But so he built the house in that way. He only used specific materials, all natural, even the paints and everything. So that makes such a big difference. How you live and how your living quality, and in this case your workout quality or your wellness quality improves in ways that many people don't even think of.
Yeah, I mean, even the wearing of sneakers in your house, right? Versus your bare feet touching wood or touching the earth, there are things, and I only say this because not only do I do them, but I teach them to my clients. And, when you have hedge fund managers saying that they took their shoes off in the Hamptons to put their feet on the earth and that they could feel the difference over 5 days time, there is something there. It's not in your head, right? So it's all that connected. Everything is energy, which we all know factually. And we just have to understand how it flows through us and how to leverage it to, do the things we need to do.
Absolutely, Kirsten. I'm actually doing a Win-Win Women show tomorrow that has to do a lot with energy. I'm going to talk about business presence. So, So where can people find you apart from your LinkedIn profile? Any website, YouTube channels, other social media that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on my website, kirstenfranklin.com, obviously here on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. There is a free group you can join, Thrive Tribe Global, where we're always popping up and putting stuff in there as well. So
thanks so much for letting us know about that, and so much for sharing your wonderful, amazing spark, Kirsten. I was also curious to find out more about it, although I knew a little bit already, but this has been a wonderful conversation. So before we close our LinkedIn Live episode today, I will quickly share my spark. As a multicultural transformational leadership coach, I help women employees achieve their next career goal through transformational coaching and training so they can fulfill their potential. And by increasing their influence and their impact, they also influence and impact their income. That's the goal, right? We accomplish this through my unique coaching framework, Powerful Leadership Transformation, as well as other complementary modalities such as conversational intelligence. And every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I have a 60-minute live show on winwinwomen.com. To watch, just click on winwinwomen.com and follow the instructions. There's a button that says Watch Shows Now. Click on that. No need to register. Just go online at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow and any Wednesday. And actually, as of tomorrow, I'm also on Roku TV with the same show. So definitely come on. Thanks again to Kirsten and to all our wonderful LinkedIn friends watching today. As always, we trust this show inspired you to uncover and express your spark fully and to fulfill your potential in this way. And please do click on like and share your thoughts in the comments, any questions you might have. Also, feel free to share this show either here on LinkedIn or on YouTube, where I'm going to post the recording shortly.
Thank you so much for having me, Regina.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so next week I will be here and you will meet Mambir Kaur from India. And that means we're going to be hopping to another continent again. But next week, we will do the show on Thursday because Mambir cannot make it on Tuesday. So Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern instead of Tuesday, exceptionally next week. I hope you can make it anyway. Kirsten, we will be in touch for sure. And I wish you an amazing rest of your day, just like to everybody else watching.
Thank you. And same to you.
Thanks.